Hi, thanks for joining me. This is Ivan Illan, the founder and Chief Investment Officer at AWAIM. And today we had some big news about Micron, and then I just couldn't help myself but to make a recording about this seemingly unbelievable, phenomenal event. And I want to take a little bit of a walk down memory lane because when I started in the business in 1996, guess which company also caught the headlines and the imagination of the investing public? Yes, that is correct. It was Micron. And this is a company that was founded in 1978. So it's been around many, many decades, essentially half a century. And once in a while, it gets caught up in this unbelievable euphoria that sweeps our markets from time to time. So let's get into it. So what you see here is a chart going back to the late 90s through the early 2000s. And actually very hard to see the price performance during this period of time. But I have a subsequent chart that shows that. But the important thing here is to look at total revenues. It had some very meager revenues and then had a nice spike in revenues during the heyday of the TMT build out and all that infrastructure spending that we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they had a huge increase in revenues, a big, huge increase in their profit, net income, and then even their net EPS diluted was beautiful and looking tremendous. And then we all know the history of how things played out subsequent to the dot-com crash. Their revenues, in fact, came way down to what it had been before, and even net income going into the negative, and then earnings per share also going into the negative. So this is a history that's familiar to folks. But what I found interesting was, looking a little bit more at the similarities. Because what has struck everyone is, wow, this stock is up, 1,000% recently. But back in the day, this was as high as 650%. So of course, not to be outdone by the telecommunication media boom and infrastructure spending. It's going to be bigger now, and the spending is much bigger now. But looking back and just focusing on this particular period of time, Micron was up 650% in essentially a year and a half period of time. And about a year and a half later, it was down about 4% over that entire essentially 5-year period. And so this is looking at current revenue trends and recent net income trend and net EPS trend. And you can even see as recently as fiscal year 2023, it was negative. They had a negative EPS and they had a negative net income. And obviously they've been rebounding very strongly. Revenues have been rebounding very strongly. But this is a company that's been, doing very well for a while and producing very good revenues for a while. And but now is an absolute darling, and investors have fallen in love with it. And of course, extrapolating this recent revenue growth into the unforeseeable future, as if this is going to continue forever and ever and ever, this parabolic move up in stock price. And you can see this parabolic move in stock price just over the past year and a half, or about a year. And so up about 1,000%. But this is the thing. This chart looks awfully familiar. This run-up looks very familiar